Welcome class. This is one of your first videos on Edpuzzle. As you can tell by the instructions on Google Classroom, you were able to easily get into Edpuzzle and begin to watch your first video. I am going to go over the syllabus and the class expectations. I do this in video form to save us time. If you have not realized yet that I'm a very timely person, as through my videos that you will see, but also the fact of I do not like to waste time in class, and keeping that in mind, by doing the syllabus video in advance, it saves us that time on day one when I would normally go over the syllabus. On day one, we will be having a quiz. We will be having a welcome activity so that I can get to know you a little bit better. And we will also start right into lecturing on the two novels that you have a test in on Thursday of that first week. So starting with the documents, these documents are already shared on Google Classroom. I suggest that you keep them and save them so that you can refer back to them throughout the year. The first one I'm going to go over is the course expectations. The course expectations is basically a summary of the syllabus. This is the one that you need to print out, read over with your parents, and then have both of you sign. This one goes over, like I said, it's a summary. It lists the books, it lists some technology aspects and grading expectations, but it also, more importantly, says that more of this will be explained during back to school night. Okay, this is due on the first day of class, so please make sure that you print it and sign it and bring it with you. And it is a graded assignment, so please make sure that you bring it with you. The second document that I want to go through with you is the syllabus. My syllabus is what I call a working syllabus. Even though it is set in stone in most cases, it is very flexible and things change within it because of the fact that we have to accommodate different aspects of the school year and activities as well. Plus, you seeing the syllabus before school actually starts, as in August 20th, makes it difficult because the teachers actually have a bunch of meetings the week before that. So you and I will already be in class while the teachers are meeting, and we'll make some decisions that might affect the syllabus. If that happens, which it normally does every year, I will give you an amendment to fill out and sign so that you have that. Okay, so going over the syllabus. Teacher's name, my office hours are normally Mondays and Thursdays after school. It can also be by appointments. If you see me in my classroom at lunch or recess, just knock on the door, and if I'm available, I will gladly meet with you. My preferred contact method of contact is email. Yes, I list the school phone number here, but it's easiest to get a hold of me via email. I answer all emails within 24 hours. Usually I answer really quickly because it's my phone, my watch, everything alerts me. If I'm not doing anything major, I'll stop for a second and answer the email, especially if there's a test or a quiz or a project or something going on the next day. But there's a huge exception to that. At 9 p.m., my technology gets turned off. I don't answer emails. I don't look at social media. I don't look at my phone. Nothing. Computer, everything goes down at 9 o'clock in my house. That's my downtime. So keeping that in mind, if you send me an email at 9 p.m., I'm not going to see it till in the morning when I wake up, and more than likely not answer it till after I get to school. So if it affects the morning, make sure that you do something before 9 p.m. I check the very last time at 9 p.m. and then not again until in the morning when I get to work. Okay, looking at the required texts. The Language of Composition book, which is your main textbook, I am doing online only. During the very first week of school, I will go over how to access that. And your Wordly Wise book, I also explained in the introduction video. That book plus the Language of Composition book, both of these are due during that first week. So make sure that you have ordered the Wordly Wise book, and I will show you during that first week how to order the Language of Composition book in the digital format. Okay. The next 3 books are ones that we're going to cover throughout the year. 2 of them I have available in PDFs, as in Mouse and A Streetcar Named Desire. You can purchase the books if you want to. I do not have a problem with that. I just, because I have the PDFs, provide them to you, and it's your option if you want to use it or not. March, though, is not available as of this moment in PDF, so you will need to purchase the book. Mouse and March are both graphic novels, and A Streetcar Named Desire is a play. The supply list I already went over with relation to the introduction video, but I always list it again in the syllabus, as in so you see it a second time. Okay, course description. I've gotten a couple of emails of concern and people not really knowing what the class is about, so I wanted to go over this course description with the idea of hoping that this helps you to understand what some of the expectations are of the class. AP Language and Composition is a class organized around American literature, and it's a writing program to give 11th grade students an opportunity to prepare for the AP test that takes place every May. You are required to think creatively, critically, while reading a combination of literary texts. You were also, in addition to preparing for college level work. Okay, college level work is the key here, but usually around the idea of American literature. I do sometimes read things outside of American literature, but it's more forced, I don't want to say forced, more around American literature, and that's why I say it pairs really nicely with AP US history. Academic integrity, I hope I don't have to have this conversation this year with the idea of plagiarism and cheating. You should know by now, I am the one who presents on this all the time on campus, talks about it to students. You've seen me in your classrooms, you've seen me in assemblies. I am huge on the honor code. Don't cheat, don't lie, don't steal. I will show you how to document things yourself so that you have everything you need. Okay, the class grading scale. It's a little small here in print, but you can always enlarge it to see it better. 40% is for tests and formal essays. That 40% usually is about 4 to 5 assignments per quarter. Okay, so that means each test or essay is going to be about 8 to 10% of your grade for that quarter. So keeping that in mind, it's important that you study for those tests and that you work on those essays really well. Okay, the next category is quizzes and informal writing or blogs. That'll be 35% of your grades. I love quizzes. In fact, every Friday we have a quiz. It's called Quiz Friday. And I will go over that later in the syllabus. Blogs, you will be making your own blog the first 2 weeks of school. And the grades for that, plus any informal class timed writings, will all go in this category. The classwork category includes classwork projects, presentations, anything that we work on within class or that is presented within class itself. It is important that you work together within the confines of the classroom on things that are assigned together. If it's not assigned together, you're working on it on your own. Noticing here that homework is missing as a category. This is something we started last year with the high school and will probably continue this year. Even though you still do see it listed in my syllabus, homework is still a requirement. It's just not a graded requirement. What I mean by that is I can't grade your reading. I can't sit there at home and make sure that you read every night. So keeping that in mind, when you come into class, if I give you reading, usually you're going to have a reading quiz. The reading quiz will be what's graded. If you did grammar video the night before, or there might be a grammar quiz that next morning, which is what will be graded. It's the in-class activities based off of what you were supposed to prepare the night before that will be graded. Okay? Not what you're actually doing at home, unless it's a project or an essay. Okay? Or a presentation that you're preparing. Okay? But it's the final product that gets graded. Now, in the event of you being absent, you have to excuse your absences. You have 2 days. Count them. See, I'm trying to make sure my fingers show up on the camera. 2 days. If you were absent, you have 2 days to turn in a note and get it excused. It doesn't matter how long you're absent for, you have 2 days to turn it in. Now, the other key is how many ever days you're absent plus 1 day is how long you have to make up the assignments. So if you're absent for 2 days, you have 2 days plus 1 to make up the assignment. That's 3 days. I want you to understand, though, I hate it when students are absent for tests or quizzes because I start to notice patterns. The test and the quiz will never be the same one that was given that day in class. So please don't feel like you can be absent to get a better grade on a test or a quiz, because it's not going to work, because they're harder, because I want you there the first time. Okay? If it's excused late, as in more than those 2 days, it might not get excused and you might not be able to make up the work. So please make sure that you're doing it. All assignments are due at the beginning of class. I do not take late work. Okay? It is your job to get your work done, to balance your classes, to balance your activities, your sports, your clubs. So it is imperative that you find a way to balance the class. Participation is a huge part of my class. This means raising your hand, participating, being involved in discussions, but also on the same side of being polite and respectful of one another. Because we have varying opinions, it is important that you are open-minded with one another. Participation means in a positive way, not yelling and screaming at each other, not degrading each other, not bullying one another, but in a respectful manner. If you cannot be positive and you become a discipline problem, it will be dealt with in accordance with the school handbook. Okay, I'm skipping the classwork because I already discussed that earlier. Technology. Now, technology, as you have known from the video, the introduction video, and from my introduction to the class back in May, is a flipped class. This means you will be using websites like Edpuzzle and Google Classroom and the textbook website, where you will, outside of class, have work that needs to be read and completed that I will have access to and that I will monitor, and you will do that at home, but inside of the class, we will do more of the deeper critical thinking. Okay, less of the lecture in class, more of the practice and more of the reading and the analysis within the class. I highly suggest you bring a technological device every day. Not a phone, because you're not going to be able to use a phone to access your textbook or to access notes or anything like that, but I highly recommend that you bring an iPad, a laptop, a Chromebook, something to take notes on, something to access your textbook on. Okay? Think of it as an extension or requirement of the class. Phones in my class are only used for Kahoot, and that is it. Okay? The next part we have is the academic syllabus. The academic syllabus I view as a checklist. I have mapped out the entire year for you. So you know what's going to go on. It doesn't have dates on it, but it does break down the idea of what is going to be covered. I like to view this, like I said, as a checklist. I just go throughout the year and I check mark things. It doesn't mean that every single thing on that is going to be completed, because like I mentioned earlier, with relation to time, some things might change. If we have an assembly and I got to cut something, if we end up having, like last year we had the fires and school was closed for 3 days, I had to cut a couple things to make room to make sure we stay on track. Now, we have 4 ongoing assignments, which I will discuss as we get started. The first will be you'll have weekly blog posts that you will be completing, and we'll talk about how that'll be done. You will have literary devices, vocabulary, and grammar throughout the year. Grammar is a huge part of the AP test, and not only in the writing, but also in the multiple choice test, in the multiple choice portion of the test. You will also have weekly written assignments, and we will have Quiz Friday. Quiz Friday will rotate. For the first quarter, it will be only vocabulary, but starting in October, we will start to rotate. One Friday will be vocabulary. The next Friday will be practice multiple choice quizzes that are graded. Okay? Keeping that in mind, but that's why I wait till then to start it. Then the rest of the year is divided into semesters. So semester 1, we'll start with the summer reading. We'll do units 1 through 4 in the textbook. Usually that lasts about the first quarter. And then sometimes unit 4 shows up in the second quarter. And we will go into the education chapter, and we will do a play called A Streetcar Named Desire before we get into the midterm. The first 4 units are the hardest. They are the most intense, and they give you the skills that you will need for the year so that we can actually apply them for the rest of the year. The second semester will start with the graphic novels, and then we'll do 4 units from the textbook before we get into the test review. Okay? Make sure that you print the course expectations, sign it, and bring it to class with you on August 6th. And make sure that you save a copy of the syllabus for yourself. Have a great day, and I will see you on August 6th.